In this video I'm going to show you how to make some modifications and changes to the template brochure that we were working on in the previous video. So now I have my template created, my brochure is showing up here, and now we're going to make it my own by putting in my own content, and I'm going to show you how to use some of the other tools in Publisher to make your brochure look unique. I'm going to flip back and forth between this blank template and the brochure that I've already completed. So in this template that still has the information that Microsoft put into it, I'm going to go over to page 2, which is the inside of the brochure, and I've already deleted the inside content of the center flap and the right side flap. I'm just going to flip over to my completed brochure just to give you an idea of what I'm going to be doing here. And you can see I changed this brochure to make it a Microsoft Publisher informational brochure. And in the center section I created a table where I have some ideas for use of Microsoft Publisher in the classroom and the appropriate grade. So this is where a table could come in handy in this particular brochure. So I'm going to go back over to my template, and to insert a table you're going to go over to the Insert tab and you're going to click the Table section, and if you drag across this grid of squares you're going to notice at the very top of the grid it's going to tell you what size table, the dimensions of your table rather. So I'm doing a 2x5, a 2x6, and you can make it as large as you want. If it doesn't have enough you can increase how many rows this has after you've already created the table. So let's say I create a 2x7 table, and you can see it's in the center section over here, and right now none of my borders would actually be showing. These dotted lines just means that there's division, but there's not actually any visible borders. And you can adjust it by bringing the cursor to the corner of one of these so that it turns into 2 arrows, and you can fit it in however you would like into the center section. You can also adjust the margins of all the various cells within the table just by dragging. So for instance, maybe you don't want the top section where we're going to put our titles as big as some of the other sections, and you can do the same thing with the vertical line and drag that over. And then we can adjust the size again to make this a little wider. Now to do some formatting with this table, you can see as soon as I inserted this table and the table is highlighted, I get a section that pops up automatically in Publisher that says Table Tools, and you're going to see a whole bunch of different options that you can do with this particular table. One of the things that I'm going to do is I want to make my borders visible, so on the drop down where it says Borders, I'm going to choose All Borders, and that didn't work, so we're going to actually select this whole thing. Make sure, there we go. Okay, and the reason that happened is because I hadn't selected the entire table. And then you can change the line color of the border if you wish. Obviously, you can change the width if you want it to be somewhat thicker. And you can also put in a fill color. Now, if I choose a fill color, what it's going to do is actually going to fill the entire table. If you want to change the cell colors individually or have rows of different colors, what you do is you drag across the table cells, highlight them, and then the easiest way is either to come up here, or I like to just right click, and there's a little paint bucket, and you can just pick the color that you want and put it right in there, and then you can do the same thing with the rest of them. When you right click on the highlighted cells, you pick a different color, whatever color you want, and now you have your table. Okay, and then you put your cursor inside the cells and you can type in whatever it is that you want. I'm actually going to adjust this to move this over. Again, you can highlight and adjust the size just like you would when you're working in any other text box, and then you can put the content in the table as well. You can tilt the table if you want, or you can keep it straight. And at the end, in my sample, I have the content here, ideas for use in the classroom, my idea, grade, and then I've listed all of my ideas in here. So you're going to include some kind of table within your brochure. It doesn't necessarily need to be in the exact same spot that I have. It doesn't have to be in the exact same format that I have. You can be creative and create your table however you want. If you do need to make any adjustments to your table, if you go back, I'm going to go back over to my sample. Let's say you start working on other things. What you can do is just click on the table and just click back on the table tools, and you'll get all the table tools and they'll show up again.